The surrender ceremony took place on the neutral world of Sixtara, a small planet that had somehow managed to avoid being conquered by any of the major galactic powers. Representatives from across the galaxy gathered to witness the end of the Council's 300-year rule. President Yoon Ji-woo walked into the Great Hall flanked by Fleet Admiral Park So-young and General Ko Myung-jin. Behind them came the other leaders who had made victory possible: Admiral Kim So-ra, Ambassador Kang Ho, Dr. Park Jae-sung, and dozens of other humans who had turned Earth from a helpless target into the galaxy's dominant military power. The aliens in the hall watched the humans with a mixture of fear, respect, and curiosity. These were the primitive mammals who had destroyed two of the Council's greatest fleets and inspired rebellions on half the worlds in the galaxy. Chancellor Mordex stood at the center of the hall, his once proud bearing now bent with defeat. Around him were the surviving leaders of the Galactic Council, those who had not been overthrown by rebellions on their own worlds. "People of the galaxy," began President Yoon, "we are here today not to celebrate conquest, but to establish a new era of peace and cooperation among all intelligent species." The hall was completely silent. Many of the aliens had expected the humans to be cruel victors, demanding tribute and establishing their own empire. Instead, the human president was talking about cooperation. "The old system was based on fear and force," continued President Yoon. "One group ruled while others served. That system has failed, and it will not be rebuilt." She gestured to a document on the table before her. "These are the terms of the new galactic government. Every world will govern itself. No species will rule over another. Trade and cooperation will be voluntary, not forced." Former Chancellor Mordex looked at the document with surprise. "You are not demanding tribute? You are not claiming our worlds as your territory?" "No," said President Yoon simply. "Humans do not want to rule the galaxy. We want to live in a galaxy where everyone is free to make their own choices." Admiral Nalthor, the former Worldbreaker, stood up slowly. His pride had been shattered by his defeat, but he was still trying to understand these strange humans. "You have the most powerful military force in the galaxy," he said. "You could conquer any world you choose. Why do you refuse to use that power?" Fleet Admiral Park So-young answered him. "Because we learned something important in our history. Empires built on conquest always fall eventually. Peace built on mutual respect can last forever." Ambassador Kang Ho, now promoted to Earth's first galactic secretary, began explaining how the new system would work. There would be no central government controlling everything. Instead, each world would send representatives to a galactic council that could only make decisions if most worlds agreed. "What about military forces?" asked a representative from one of the smaller alien species. "How will we defend ourselves if there is no central authority?" General Ko Myung-jin stood up. "Any world that faces attack can call for help from the Galactic Defense Force. This force will be made up of volunteers from all species, trained and equipped to the highest standards." "Who will command this defense force?" asked another alien. "Officers will be chosen based on ability, not species," replied the general. "We have already begun training programs where humans work alongside aliens to develop the best possible military tactics." The former council leaders were struggling to understand this new approach. For centuries they had believed that someone had to be in charge, that the strong must rule the weak. The humans were proposing something completely different. Dr. Park Jae-sung addressed the technological concerns. "All military technology developed during the war will be shared freely with any world that wants it. We will also establish research institutes where scientists from different species can work together to solve common problems." "You are giving away your military advantages?" asked a Valerian scientist. "Your superior weapons and ships?" "Technology should benefit everyone," replied Dr. Park. "Besides, the best way to stay ahead in science is to work with the smartest people you can find, regardless of what species they come from." Captain Nari, now an admiral, spoke about the practical aspects of maintaining peace. "The new Galactic Defense Force will patrol trade routes and respond to emergencies, but our main job will be to prevent conflicts before they start." "How?" asked Admiral Nalthor. By making sure every world has what it needs to prosper, explained Admiral Nari. Most wars start because someone wants something they don't have. If we can establish fair trade and help developing worlds improve their technology, there will be fewer reasons to fight. As the day went on, the aliens began to understand that the humans really meant what they said. Earth was not interested in building an empire. They wanted to create a galaxy where everyone could live freely and prosper. Some of the smaller alien species were enthusiastic about the new system. They had suffered under council rule and were eager for a chance to govern themselves, but the former rulers were more skeptical. What happens if some worlds refuse to join this new system? Asked Prime Minister Thrextal, who had somehow survived the collapse of his government. President Yoon's expression became serious. Then they will be left alone as long as they don't attack others, but they will also be excluded from trade, technology sharing, and mutual defense agreements. And if they do attack others, then they will face the combined military forces of every world in the Galactic Alliance, said Fleet Admiral Park So-young quietly. We have proven that we can defeat the largest military force this galaxy has ever seen. We can certainly handle any single world that chooses to be aggressive. The threat was delivered calmly, but everyone in the hall understood its meaning. The humans had the power to destroy any world that threatened peace, and they would use that power if necessary. Over the following months, the new galactic government began to take shape. Most worlds joined willingly, eager to be free of the old council's restrictions. A few isolated systems chose to remain independent, and they were left alone as promised. Captain Osei-jun found himself commanding a mixed crew of humans and aliens aboard the patrol ship Harmony of Soul. His mission was to protect trade ships from pirates and respond to emergencies in his assigned sector. Captain, reported his alien navigation officer, we're receiving a distress call from a civilian. Transport. What's their problem? Asked Captain O. Engine failure in the Chronos system. They're drifting toward the system's sun. Set course to intercept, ordered the captain, and signal the nearest repair station to send a recovery ship. This kind of rescue mission had become routine for the Galactic Defense Force. Instead of conquering worlds, the galaxy's military forces were now focused on helping people and preventing conflicts. Dr. Cho Hye-jin had established the Galactic Anthropological Institute on a neutral world halfway between human and alien space. Scientists from dozens of different species worked together to study cultures, share knowledge, and solve problems that affected multiple worlds. The most interesting discovery, she wrote in her latest report, is how similar all intelligent species really are. We all want safety for our children, prosperity for our communities, and the freedom to pursue our own goals. The differences between species are much less important than we thought. Her research was being distributed throughout the galaxy, helping different species understand each other better. It was becoming harder for politicians to start wars when people could see that their supposed enemies were really very similar to themselves. 1 year after the fall of the Galactic Council, Ambassador Kang Ho stood before the first meeting of the new Galactic Assembly. Representatives from over 200 worlds filled the hall, many of them species that had never had a voice in galactic affairs before. Friends, he began, we have accomplished something that many believed was impossible. We have created a galaxy where strength is used to protect, not to conquer, where different species work together instead of fighting each other, where every world has the freedom to choose its own path. The hall erupted in applause from dozens of different species, creating a sound unlike anything heard before in galactic history. But our work is not finished, continued Ambassador Kang. There are still worlds suffering from poverty, disease, and conflict. There are still species that have not been contacted. There are still problems that require all of us working together to solve. He paused and looked around the hall at representatives from across the galaxy. Humans did not save the galaxy alone. We could not have won without the help of rebel worlds that joined our cause. We cannot build lasting peace without the cooperation of every species in this hall. The old galaxy was ruled by fear. The new galaxy will be built on hope. Fear divides us, but hope brings us together. and together there is nothing we cannot accomplish. As the assembly began its work, people across the galaxy were discovering what it meant to live in freedom. Former slave worlds were building their own governments. Species that had been enemies for centuries were learning to trade and cooperate. Children grew up knowing they could travel anywhere in the galaxy and be welcomed as equals. Earth had become the unofficial leader of this new galaxy, but not through conquest. The humans had earned respect by proving. Admiral Nalthor had destroyed 7 rebellious worlds in his long career. He had watched entire civilizations burn under his fleet's weapons. He was known throughout the galaxy as the World Breaker, and he had never lost a single battle. Now he stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominance, and looked at the tactical display showing his massive fleet, 500 ships of every size and design, representing the military might of 40 different alien species. It was the most powerful force ever assembled in galactic history. "Admiral," reported his sensor officer, "we are approaching the human home system." "Any sign of their defensive fleet?" asked Admiral Nalthor. "Negative, sir. Just like last time, the system appears to be undefended." Admiral Nalthor frowned. After what happened to the 47th Fleet, he had expected the humans to at least try to stop his armada before it reached Earth. Instead, the blue world spun peacefully in space, apparently waiting for its doom. "Perhaps they have finally realized how hopeless their situation is," suggested his second-in-command. "Perhaps," said Admiral Nalthor, but something felt wrong. The humans had fought too cleverly in their previous battles to simply give up now. What the Admiral did not know was that Earth's defensive strategy had changed completely. Instead of hiding their fleet in the home system, Admiral Kim So-Ra had spread her ships across 3 different star systems, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The 10th Armada had been traveling for 6 months, and the humans had been tracking their progress every step of the way. Dr. Yoon Sang-mi's intelligence network knew exactly when they would arrive and what formation they would use. "Begin Phase 1, ordered Admiral Kim from her command ship, hidden in the asteroid belt of a system 20 light-years from Earth. Commander An Yu-jin received the order aboard her flagship, the carrier New Seoul. Around her, 200 human warships and 50 allied vessels from rebel worlds prepared for the largest space battle in galactic history. "All fighters launch," she commanded. "Time to show the Council what happens when they threaten Earth." 1,000 small fighter craft poured out of the human carriers. But these were not the simple fighters the aliens expected. Each one was equipped with faster-than-light engines and weapons that could penetrate Council shields. The fighters jumped instantly to the edge of Earth's system, where they began attacking the outer ships of Admiral Nalthor's formation. The alien fleet was spread out over millions of kilometers, making it impossible for all ships to support each other at once. "Sir, we're under attack," reported the communication officer on the Eternal Dominance. "Multiple small craft are hitting our perimeter ships." Admiral Nalthor watched his tactical display as red warning lights began appearing throughout his fleet. "How many enemy fighters?" "Estimated 1,000, sir. They're using hit-and-run tactics, striking our weakest ships." First, the Admiral had fought rebellions before, but never anything like this. The human fighters moved in perfect coordination, targeting specific systems on each alien ship. They would destroy a ship's engines, leaving it helpless, then move on to the next target. "All fighters, intercept the enemy craft," ordered Admiral Nalthor. But the alien fighters were designed for close combat within a single star system. The human fighters could jump between star systems instantly, attacking from multiple directions at once. Captain Huang Dabin was piloting his fighter remotely from a control station on Earth. His target was a Valerian cruiser that was trying to coordinate the alien fleet's defense. "Ghost Squadron, follow my lead," he said to his wingman. "Hit their communication array, then jump out before they can return fire." His squadron appeared directly above the cruiser and fired simultaneously. The alien ship's communication systems exploded in a shower of sparks and metal. Before the cruiser could even turn its weapons toward them, the human fighters had jumped away. The same scene was playing out all across the alien fleet. Human fighters would appear, destroy a specific target, and vanish before the aliens could respond. It was like trying to fight shadows. But Admiral Nalthor was not ready to give up. All ships, maximum acceleration toward Earth. We will bombard their planet before their fighters can destroy us. The alien fleet began rushing toward Earth as fast as their engines could carry them. But this was exactly what Admiral Kim So-ra had been waiting for. Begin Phase 2, she ordered. The main human battle fleet jumped into the system behind Admiral Nalthor's armada. 200 human ships and 50 rebel vessels appeared like ghosts materializing from the darkness of space. "Sir, enemy battle fleet detected behind us," shouted the sensor officer on the Eternal Dominance. Admiral Nalthor spun around to look at his tactical display. How had an entire enemy fleet gotten behind him without being detected? "It's impossible," he whispered. "Our sensors would have detected them jumping into the system." What the Admiral did not know was that human ships could jump much more accurately than alien vessels. While alien ships had to appear at the edge of a star system and travel inward, human ships could jump directly to any location they chose. Admiral Kim So-ra had positioned her fleet exactly where it would do the most damage to the alien formation. All ships, engage at will. Target their command vessels first. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The aliens tried to fight using traditional tactics, forming lines of battle and exchanging fire at long range. The humans ignored all traditional rules of space warfare. Human ships would jump directly behind alien vessels, fire at point-blank range, then jump away before return fire could hit them. They used their fighters as scouts to identify weak points in the alien formation, then concentrated all their firepower on those weak points. Captain Park Min-ho commanded the Thunder of Jeju in the center of the battle. His ship was badly outnumbered, facing 3 alien cruisers at once. "Sir, we're taking heavy damage," reported his tactical officer. "Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. "Can our weapons still fire?" asked Captain Park. "Yes, sir, but we can't win a straight fight against 3 enemy ships." Captain Park smiled grimly. "Then we won't fight fair." He ordered his ship to jump directly between 2 of the alien cruisers, so close that their hulls were almost touching. At that range, the aliens could not fire without hitting each other, but the Thunder of Jeju could fire in all directions at once. The human ship unleashed everything it had. Missiles, energy beams, and kinetic projectiles poured out of its weapons. Ports. Both alien cruisers were destroyed before they could react to the impossible maneuver. "One enemy ship remaining," reported the tactical officer. "Finish it," ordered Captain Park. All across the battlefield, similar scenes were playing out. Human ships used tactics that the aliens had never imagined, turning the galaxy's largest fleet into a collection of confused and isolated vessels. But the most devastating attack came from an unexpected source. Colonel Jang Min-ho was leading the first human ground assault on an alien world, but not in the way anyone expected. Instead of landing on a planet's surface, his Marines had captured several alien ships during the battle. Now they were fighting hand-to-hand combat inside alien vessels, something the Council had never prepared for. "Remember your training," Colonel Jang told his Marines as they prepared to board a Kroon battleship. "These aliens are stronger than us individually, but they've never fought an enemy that can adapt as quickly as we can." The human Marines wore powered armor that made them faster and stronger than any alien. More importantly, they fought with a ferocity that terrified their enemies. Humans had evolved as persistence hunters, chasing prey across vast distances until it collapsed from exhaustion. In close combat, they brought that same relentless determination to bear against their alien opponents. The Kroon warriors on the battleship were tough fighters, but they had never faced an enemy like humans. The Marines moved through the ship's corridors like a pack of predators working together with perfect coordination. "Sector 7 secured," reported Sergeant Kim Da-sol over the radio. "Moving to the bridge." "Sector 4 secured," replied Sergeant Lee Yoon-ah. "Enemy commander is barricaded in the engine room." Colonel Jang smiled inside his helmet. The aliens thought they were individually superior fighters, but they had never learned to work as a team the way humans did. Within 2 hours, the human Marines had captured 17 alien vessels. The sight of humans boarding and capturing enemy ships spread panic through Admiral Nalthor's fleet. On the Eternal Dominance, Admiral Nalthor watched his fleet falling apart around him. Half of his ships were destroyed or disabled. Many of his commanders were too scared to fight effectively. Some ships were actually retreating without orders. "Sir," reported his communication officer, "the Valerian 3rd Squadron is requesting permission to withdraw from the battle." "Denied," roared Admiral Nalthor. "No one retreats until this battle is won." But the battle was already lost. The human fleet had used superior tactics and technology to turn the galaxy's most powerful armada into wreckage floating in space. "Sir," said his second-in-command quietly, "perhaps we should consider a strategic withdrawal." Admiral Nalthor had never retreated from any battle in his 200-year career, but he had never faced an enemy like humanity before. "All ships," he said finally, "retreat to the edge of the system. We will regroup." Chancellor Mordex had ruled the Galactic Council for 40 years. In all that time, no single world had ever successfully resisted a pacification fleet. The destruction of the 47th Fleet was not just a military defeat. It was a threat to everything the Council represented. The emergency session was held in the Council's most secure chamber, deep in the heart of their capital world. Representatives from 50 different species filled the massive hall, their voices creating a chaos of different languages and communication methods. "Order." Chancellor Mordex's voice boomed through speakers that translated his words into hundreds of languages at once. "We are here to discuss the human problem." General Vexmore stood at the center of the hall, his rocky body still showing damage from the battle at Earth. "Honored representatives," he began, "I must report that the humans are far more dangerous than we believed possible." The hall erupted in angry voices. Many representatives refused to believe that primitive mammals could destroy an entire council fleet. "Impossible," shouted Representative Kixtol of the Insect Collective. "Humans have no real technology. They still use chemical rockets." "They did use chemical rockets," corrected General Vexmore. "Now they use weapons that can penetrate our best shields. They have ships that can become completely invisible. They fight with tactics we have never seen before." Admiral Nalthor, the famous world breaker, stood up slowly. He was an ancient being who had destroyed rebellious worlds for over 2 centuries. "One fleet defeat does not make them a real threat. Give me the 10th Armada, and I will turn their planet into an asteroid field." "How many ships is that?" asked Chancellor Mordex. 500 of our finest warships," replied Admiral Nalthor proudly. "More firepower than has ever been assembled in Council history." The Chancellor nodded. "Very well. You have authorization to use any force necessary to end this rebellion." But even as the Council prepared for massive retaliation, Earth was not waiting. President Yoon Ji-woo had decided that the best defense was a strong offense. "They expect us to sit on Earth and wait for them to attack again," she told her military leaders. "Instead, we're going to take the war to them." General Park Kyung-soo had been planning this moment for months. "Operation Hornet's Nest is ready to begin, Madam President. We can strike at 17 different Council supply bases simultaneously." "What about their response?" asked Defense Minister Kim Tae-hyun. "They can't respond to all of our attacks at once," explained General Park. "Their military is designed to fight one big battle at a time. We're going to fight 100 small battles across 50 different star systems." The first human offensive began 3 weeks after the destruction of the 47th Fleet. Captain Oh Se-jun took the Ghost of Busan deep into Kroon territory, targeting their main supply depot at Vex Prime. The depot was a massive space station that supplied weapons and fuel to half of the Kroon fleet. It was defended by 12 warships and had shields strong enough to stop a small moon. Captain Oh did not try to fight the defenders directly. Instead, he waited until a supply convoy was approaching the station. Then he attacked the convoy while its escort ships were spread out and unable to support each other. The Ghost of Busan destroyed 3 supply ships and damaged 2 more before disappearing back into the darkness between stars. The attack took less than 20 minutes, but it disrupted supply lines for dozens of Council worlds. Meanwhile, Captain Park Min-ho had recovered the Thunder of Jeju and was leading a strike team against a Valerian communication hub. The aliens used massive relay stations to send messages between star systems instantly. Destroying one relay could cut communications for entire sectors of space. "Target the main transmitter array," ordered Captain Park. One shot should do it. The Thunder of Jeju fired its main gun from extreme range. The relay station's shields flickered and died as the super-dense projectile punched through them. The massive transmitter array exploded in a shower of metal and energy. Communication relay destroyed, reported the tactical officer. 17 star systems just lost contact with Council headquarters. Similar attacks were happening all across Council space. Human ships appeared without warning, destroyed important targets, and vanished before help could arrive. The humans were fighting like space pirates, but with military precision and coordination. Dr. Yoon Sang-mi was coordinating intelligence operations from a secret base on Earth's moon. Her job was to analyze alien communications and find the best targets for human attacks. The crew are getting paranoid, she reported to Admiral Kim Sora. They're pulling ships back from the frontier to guard their home systems. What about the Valerians? They're arguing with the insect collective about who should provide ships for the counterattack. The insects want the Valerians to take more risks. The Valerians think the insects should provide more funding. Admiral Kim smiled grimly. Just like Ambassador Kang Ho predicted. They work together when they're winning, but they blame each other when things go wrong. The most successful human raid happened at the Quintar system, where the aliens kept one of their largest fuel refineries. Commander An Yu-jin led 2 carriers, the Taekwondo and the Kimchi, in a lightning strike against the facility. The carriers did not engage the enemy ships directly. Instead, they launched hundreds of small fighter craft that swarmed around the refinery like angry insects. Each fighter was controlled by a human pilot sitting safely on Earth, using quantum communication to control their ship instantly across hundreds of light years. "This is Red Leader," announced Captain Huang Da-bin from his control station on Earth. "I see 12 enemy fighters moving to intercept." "Copy, Red Leader," replied his wingman. "Let's show them how Earth pilots fight." The human fighters moved in ways that confused the alien pilots. They could make impossibly sharp turns because they were controlled by people who would not die if their ship was destroyed. They took risks no living pilot would attempt. Within an hour, the fuel refinery was destroyed, and the human fighters had vanished back to their carriers. The carriers themselves were already jumping to faster than light speed, heading for their next target. But the most important result of the human offensive was not military, it was political. The success of Earth's rebellion was inspiring other worlds to question Council authority. On the mining world of Raxthul, workers had been forced to labor in dangerous conditions for decades. When they heard that humans had defeated a Council fleet, they began organizing strikes and protests. "If primitive mammals can fight the Council, why can't we?" asked Foreman Kextall during a secret meeting of mining supervisors. The strike spread to other worlds. On agricultural planets, farmers refused to ship food to Council worlds. On manufacturing worlds, workers slowed production of military equipment. Some planets even declared independence from the Council completely. Director Choi Hyun-woo was monitoring these developments with great interest. "The Council is facing exactly what we hoped for," he reported to President Yoon. "Their empire is starting to fall apart from within." "How long before they realize what's happening?" asked the president. "They already know, but they can't decide whether to fight the humans or put down the rebellions in their own territory first." This was exactly the strategy Earth had planned. The humans could never build enough ships to match the Council's numbers, but they could inspire the Council's own subjects to rebel. Every ship the aliens sent to fight internal rebellions was a ship that could not be used against Earth. Admiral Nalthor was growing frustrated with the delays in launching his counterattack. The 10th Armada was ready to depart, but politicians kept arguing about whether to attack Earth first or deal with the growing rebellions. "Every day we delay gives the humans more time to prepare," he warned Chancellor Mordex. "They are not sitting idle while we debate." The Chancellor was facing the most serious crisis in Council history. Half of his military was fighting rebellions on dozens of worlds. His supply lines were being attacked constantly by human raiders. His own representatives were arguing with each other instead of working together. "How long to reach the human home system?" he asked Admiral Nalthor. 6 months if we leave immediately," replied the Admiral. "But I would prefer to bring additional ships." You have the largest fleet in Council history, said the Chancellor. If 500 ships cannot destroy one primitive world, then we deserve to lose. Very well, said Admiral Nalthor. The 10th Armada departs tomorrow, but Earth knew the aliens were coming. Dr. Yoon Sang-mi's intelligence network had infiltrated alien communications so thoroughly that humans often knew about Council decisions before many Council representatives did. 500 ships, reported Defense Minister Kim to President Yoon. The largest military force ever assembled in this galaxy. Are we ready? Asked the President. Admiral Kim So-ra had spent the last 6 months preparing Earth's defenses and building new ships. We have 200 ships now, all equipped with our latest technology. We also have some surprises the aliens won't expect, such as new types of weapons that Dr. Park Jae-sung developed specifically for fighting large fleets, and some allies the Council doesn't know about. President Yoon raised an eyebrow. Allies? Several rebel worlds have offered to help us fight. The 10th Armada, explained Admiral Kim. They're sending ships and… General Vexmore stood on the bridge of his flagship, the crushing fist, and looked at the small blue world on his main screen. Earth looked peaceful and defenseless, just spinning slowly in the darkness of space. No orbital weapons platforms. No defense satellites. No fleet of warships waiting to fight. Pathetic, he said to his second-in-command. They did not even try to defend themselves. Commander Zelkun nodded his rocky head. The humans probably fled to their caves when they learned we were coming. These mammals always run when faced with superior force. The 47th Pacification Fleet had arrived at Earth exactly on schedule. 30 ships of different sizes, all equipped with the best weapons and shields the Galactic Council could provide. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Sir, reported the sensor officer, I am detecting no military vessels in this system. Only some primitive mining operations in the asteroid belt and a few scientific stations around the outer planets. General Vexmore was not surprised. The humans had a full year to prepare, but what could they do in such a short time? It took most species thousands of years to develop real space technology. Send the usual message, he ordered. The communication officer opened a channel to Earth. People of Earth, this is the Galactic Council Pacification Fleet. You have failed to comply with Council regulations. Prepare for immediate orbital bombardment of your capital cities until your government surrenders. They waited for a response. Usually the threatened planet would send desperate messages begging for mercy or trying to negotiate. The humans sent nothing. Perhaps their communication systems are too primitive to reach us, suggested Commander Zelkun. It does not matter, said General Vexmore. Begin standard pacification protocol. Target the largest population center first. On the tactical screen, a red circle appeared around a large city on the northern continent. The humans called it Seoul. It had over 10 million inhabitants, perfect for a demonstration of council power. Destroyer Bone Crusher, move to bombardment position, ordered the general. Captain Thokmar acknowledged the order and began moving his ship toward the planet. The Bone Crusher was one of the fleet's smallest ships, but it carried enough firepower to level an entire human city in minutes. As the destroyer moved into position, Captain Thokmar prepared his weapons. This will be over quickly, he told his crew. These primitive mammals will surrender as soon as they see what our weapons can do. The Bone Crusher had just reached optimal firing range when something impossible happened. A human ship appeared, directly behind it. The ship had been completely invisible to all sensors until that moment. It was smaller than the destroyer but looked deadly, with sharp angles and dark armor that seemed to absorb light. Along its hull, weapon ports were opening. "Where did that come from?" shouted Captain Thokmar. His sensor officer stared at his instruments in confusion. "I do not know, sir. It was not there a second ago." Captain Lim Junho smiled as he looked at the alien destroyer on his screen. The silent storm had been hiding in Earth's magnetosphere for 3 days, completely invisible to alien sensors. Now it was time to show these aliens what human engineering could accomplish. "Target their engine room," he ordered his weapons officer. "Let's end this quickly." The silent storm's main gun fired once. It was not an energy beam like the aliens used. Instead, it shot a projectile made of super-dense metal at nearly the speed of light. The destroyer's shields, designed to stop energy weapons, did nothing to slow it down. The projectile punched through the Bone Crusher's hull like it was made of paper. It traveled the entire length of the ship, destroying everything in its path, before exploding out the other side. The destroyer died instantly. Its lights went out, its engines stopped, and it began drifting helplessly in space. The crew never even had time to send a distress signal. On the flagship, General Vexmore stared at his tactical screen in shock. One moment the Bone Crusher had been moving toward the planet. The next moment it was dead in space. What happened? He roared. Report! The sensor officer was frantically working at his station. Sir, the Bone Crusher has been destroyed. I am detecting one small human vessel near its position. One ship destroyed the Bone Crusher? General Vexmore could not believe it. That is impossible. Sir, I am detecting multiple new contacts throughout the system, reported another officer, his voice rising with panic. On the main screen, red dots began appearing everywhere, behind asteroids, in the shadow of moons, rising from the clouds of gas giants. Dozens of human ships were decloaking all at once. Impossible, whispered Commander Zelkun. Where did they all come from? Admiral Kim Sora sat in the command chair of the dreadnought Soul's Vengeance and watched the alien fleet scramble to respond to the ambush. The humans had spent months preparing for this moment, hiding ships throughout the solar system and waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. All ships, this is Admiral Kim, she said calmly into her communicator. Execute Operation Mousetrap. What followed was not a battle in the traditional sense. It was a carefully planned execution. The human ships did not form up in neat formations like the aliens expected. Instead, they attacked from every direction at once, using tactics the Galactic Council had never seen before. Stealth frigates like the Silent Storm struck from close range with weapons that ignored energy shields. Fast attack ships swarmed around, the larger alien vessels hitting them with missiles that could change direction and think for themselves. Heavy cruisers used long-range weapons to destroy alien ships before they could even see what was shooting at them. Captain Oh Sejun commanded the stealth destroyer, Ghost of Busan. His mission was to target the alien command ships and disrupt their communications. Enemy flagship identified, reported his tactical officer. It's the big one in the center of their formation. Take us in close, ordered Captain O. Let's introduce their general to human engineering. The Ghost of Busan slipped through the battle like a shadow, invisible to alien sensors. When it was close enough to the flagship, it fired a special weapon Dr. Park Jae-sung had designed specifically for this battle. The weapon did not try to destroy the alien ship. Instead, it attached itself to the hull and began sending electronic viruses into the ship's computer systems. Within minutes, the flagship's communications, sensors, and weapons were all failing randomly. General Vexmore found himself commanding a fleet that could not talk to each other or coordinate their attacks. His ships were fighting alone against an enemy that seemed to be everywhere at once. Sir, we need to retreat, shouted Commander Zelkun over the noise of failing systems. Retreat? General Vexmore had never retreated from anything in his life. We outnumber them. Not anymore, sir. On the tactical display, half of the alien ships were already destroyed or disabled. The human fleet was losing ships too, but they were taking down 3 alien vessels for every one they lost. More importantly, the humans were fighting with a coordination and creativity the aliens had never encountered. They shared targeting, information instantly. They adapted their tactics in real time as the battle changed. They fought like a single organism with dozens of bodies. Captain Park Min-ho commanded the heavy cruiser Thunder of Jeju. His ship was badly damaged, with hull, breaches on 3 decks and his main engine offline, but his weapons were still working. Sir, we have 2 alien cruisers moving to flank the Soul's Vengeance, reported his tactical officer. Captain Park did not hesitate. Take us between them and the Admiral's ship. All weapons, continuous fire. For Thunder of Jeju charged directly at the 2 alien cruisers, its weapons blazing. The ship took massive damage from return fire, but it gave Admiral Kim the time she needed to destroy both enemy vessels. Thunder of Jeju, are you still operational? Admiral Kim asked over the radio. Barely, Admiral, replied Captain Park. But we're still in the fight. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, 29 ships of the 47th Pacification Fleet were destroyed. Only General Vexmore's flagship remained, and it was barely functional. Admiral Kim opened a communication channel to the alien ship. Attention Galactic Council vessel. This is Admiral Kim Sora of the Earth Defense Force. Your fleet has been destroyed. You have 2 choices: surrender or die. General Vexmore looked around his ruined bridge. Half his crew was dead or wounded. His ship's weapons were offline, his shields were failing, but he was not ready to surrender to primitive mammals. All remaining power to engines, he ordered. We retreat to Council space. Sir, if we leave, now we can barely make it to the nearest Council world, warned his engineering officer. Then that is what we will do, said the general. The Council must be warned about these humans. Admiral Kim watched the alien flagship limp away from Earth. She could have destroyed it easily, but she chose not to. Sometimes it was better to let one enemy escape so he could tell others what happened. Let him go, she ordered her fleet. His story will be worth more than his death. As the crushing fist disappeared into faster-than-light travel, Admiral Kim looked at the wreckage floating around Earth. 30 alien warships had come to destroy human civilization. Now they were space junk. But she knew this was just the beginning. The Galactic Council would send more ships, and those ships would be ready for human tactics. The real war was about to begin, on planets throughout. The message from Ambassador Kang Ho reached Earth exactly 23 days after the meeting with the aliens. President Yoon Ji-woo was eating breakfast when her security chief burst into her private dining room. Madam President, you need to see this immediately. She read the message twice before the words fully hit her. Aliens were real. They had found Earth, and they wanted to destroy human cities if Earth did not surrender in 1 year. Within 6 hours, every major leader on Earth was sitting in the emergency meeting room deep under the presidential palace. The room had been built to survive nuclear war. Now it would plan for something much worse. Defense Minister Kim Tae-hyun stood at the big screen showing Earth's military forces. We have 11 months and 7 days, he said. The aliens think we are primitive, but they made one mistake. They gave us time to prepare. General Hwang Min-sik, the head of all ground forces, spoke up. What do we know about their military capabilities? Dr. Park Jae-sung, Earth's top scientist, opened his computer files. Our people on the New Seoul managed to scan their technology secretly. Their ships use energy shields and weapons that shoot pure energy instead of bullets. Their materials are stronger than anything we have. But, asked President Yoon. She could tell there was more. But their technology is old, said Dr. Park. Very advanced, but they have not improved it in hundreds of years. They became comfortable with being the strongest. We can learn from that. Admiral Shin Bo-young, who commanded all of Earth's space forces, leaned forward. How many ships do they have? Thousands, said Dr. Park. Maybe tens of thousands. But Ambassador Kang Ho noticed something important. The different alien races do not seem to trust each other completely. They work together because they have to, not because they want to. Director Choi Hyun-woo had been quiet until now. He ran Earth's intelligence services, the spies and secret agents who gathered information from other countries. I have something to tell you all, he said. We have been listening to alien radio signals for 30 years. Everyone stared at him. President Yoon felt her heart stop for a moment. What did you just say? In 2195, we started picking up strange signals from space. At first we thought they were natural phenomena. Then we realized they were communications between different star systems. We have been recording and studying them ever since. Defense Minister Kim stood up so fast his chair fell over. You have been listening to alien communications for 30 years and never told anyone? We were not sure what they were until now, said Director Choi calmly. And we wanted to be absolutely certain before causing worldwide panic. Now we know they were right to be careful. What have you learned? Asked President Yoon. Director. Choi smiled for the first time in the meeting. Everything. Their military codes, their supply routes, their political problems, their technology manuals. We know which races hate each other. We know which planets are unhappy with the Council. We know their weaknesses. The room was silent for a long moment. Then General Huang started laughing. They think we are primitive mammals with metal bullets, he said. They have no idea we have been studying them for 3 decades. What about our military production? Asked President Yoon. Defense Minister Kim pulled up new charts on the screen. We can build ships, but not fast enough to match their numbers. However, we do not need to match their numbers. We need to be smarter. Explain, said the president. The aliens fight wars the same way they have for centuries. Big fleets meeting in open space, shooting at each other until one side runs away or dies. They have never fought an enemy that uses different tactics. Admiral Shin nodded slowly. Guerrilla warfare in space. Exactly. Hit and run attacks, stealth ships, surprise raids on their supply lines, make them afraid to travel alone. Dr. Park Jae-sung opened another file on his computer. I can reverse engineer. Their shield technology in 6 months. Their energy weapons in 8 months, but I need all the resources Earth can provide. President Yoon looked around the table at her advisors. These were the people who would have to save humanity from extinction. What do you need? Everything, said Defense Minister Kim. Every factory, every scientist, every engineer, every shipyard. This has to be the biggest mobilization in human history. You have it, said President Yoon without hesitation. What about training our people to fight in space? Commander Seo Dabin had been waiting for this question. She ran Earth's new Space Marine program. I can have 50,000 Space Marines trained and ready in 10 months, but they will need the best equipment we can build. They will have it, promised Dr. Park. Over the next weeks, Earth changed completely. Every news channel talked about the alien threat. Every factory switched to making military equipment. Every university started teaching courses about space warfare and alien technology. The people of Earth were scared, but they were also angry. The aliens thought humans would just surrender their planet without a fight. They were about to learn how wrong they were. In secret military bases around the world, new weapons were being tested. Missiles that could track invisible targets. Armor that could stop energy beams. Ships that could hide from alien sensors. Admiral Shin set up her headquarters in the old North American Space Defense Command Center. From there, she could coordinate with military bases on every continent and in space stations around Earth. Status report, she said to her staff. Shipyards are working at 150% capacity, reported Captain Lim Jun-ho. We will have the first stealth frigates ready in 7 months. What about the big ship? Asked Admiral Shin. The first battlecruiser will be ready in 9 months, said another officer. The dreadnought will take 11 months. That cuts it very close, said Admiral Shin. Yes, ma'am. But if Dr. Park's new technology works, one of our dreadnoughts should be equal to 5 of their ships. Dr. Park Jae-sung was working 18 hours a day in his laboratory. His team had taken apart every piece of alien technology they could get from the New Soul secret scans. Slowly, they were learning how it worked. The energy shields work by bending space around the ship, he explained to his assistants. But if we hit them with the right frequency, we can disrupt that bending. What about their energy weapons? Asked Dr. Kim So-ra, his top assistant. Pure plasma contained in magnetic fields, said Dr. Park. Very effective, but they require enormous amounts of power. If we can overload their power systems, their weapons will shut down. Can we build weapons like that? Better, said Dr. Park with a tired smile. We can build weapons they have never seen before. Meanwhile, Commander Seo Dabin was training the first generation of human space marines. These soldiers would have to fight aliens in zero gravity, in hostile atmospheres, and in environments no human had ever seen. Remember, she told a group of trainees, the aliens think we are weak because we evolved on one planet with standard gravity and atmosphere. They are wrong. Humans are the most adaptable species in the galaxy. We can survive anywhere. The trainees were learning to fight in powered armor that made them faster and stronger than any alien. They practiced with new weapons that could work in space or on alien worlds. Most importantly, they learned to think like humans, not like aliens. The aliens have been fighting the same way for hundreds of years, explained Commander CO. They expect their enemies to follow the same rules. We will not follow their rules. 6 months after receiving the ultimatum, Director Choi Hyun-woo had more news. The aliens are getting ready to attack, he reported to President Yoon. They are gathering ships at a staging point 200 light-years from Earth. How many ships? Asked the president. 30 ships. They call it the 47th Pacification Fleet. Defense Minister Kim laughed grimly. 30 ships to conquer Earth. They really do think we are helpless. How long until they arrive? Asked President Yoon. 5 months, ma'am. The president looked around the table at her advisors. Are we ready? Admiral Shin spoke first. The space fleet will be ready. We will not have as many ships as they do, but our ships will be better, General Huang nodded. Ground forces are ready to defend every major city. If any aliens make it to the surface, they will face 5 million armed humans. Dr. Park looked tired but confident. All new weapon systems will be operational in 4 months. Our technology is now equal to theirs, and in some ways better. Commander, Seo Dabin smiled. The Space Marines are ready for anything. They want to show these aliens what humans can do in a fight. Director Choi opened his final file. And we know exactly when and where they are coming from. President Yoon stood up. Then let's show the galaxy that declaring war on humanity was the biggest mistake they ever made. Outside the meeting room, millions of humans were preparing for the fight of their lives. In shipyards and factories, in training camps and laboratories, humanity was getting ready to prove that Earth's primitive mammals were far more dangerous than anyone realized. The aliens thought they were coming to pacify a helpless world. Instead, they were flying into a trap set by the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. The stars looked different when you knew you were not alone. Ambassador Kang Ho pressed his face against the window of the spaceship New Seoul and watched the alien station grow larger. After 50 years of searching the galaxy, humans had finally found other intelligent life. Today would be the first time humans talked to aliens. Captain Nari walked up behind him. She was a small woman with short black hair and sharp eyes. Are you ready for this? She asked. Kang Ho nodded. As ready as anyone can be for making first contact with aliens. The alien station was huge. It looked like a metal city floating in space. Hundreds of different ships moved around it like busy insects. Some ships were long and thin like needles. Others were round like balls. A few looked like they were made of crystal that caught the light from nearby stars. Look at all those different designs, said Dr. Cho Hee-jin, the team's alien expert. She had been studying the ships through her computer screen. Each design must be from a different alien race. This is not just one species. This is many species working together. Chief Engineer Park Dong-wook came over to join them. He was a big man with rough hands from years of working on machines. Their technology is impressive, he said, but I think we can understand it, maybe even improve it. The New Seoul moved slowly toward the docking bay. Kang Ho felt his heart beating fast. Everything they did today would be remembered in history books forever. The first words between humans and aliens. The first handshake across the stars. Voice came over the radio. It spoke in perfect English, but the accent was strange. Human vessel New Seoul. You are cleared to dock at Bay 774. Representatives of the Galactic Council will meet you there. Captain Nari answered. Thank you, Control. We look forward to meeting with the Council. The docking was smooth. The alien station had artificial gravity that felt almost like Earth's. When the airlock opened, Kang Ho saw 2 aliens waiting for them. The first alien was tall and thin with blue skin that looked like it was made of tiny scales. It had 4 arms and large yellow eyes. It wore rich purple clothes with gold decorations. This had to be someone important. The second alien was shorter but much wider. Its skin was gray and looked like rock. It had no visible eyes but strange holes in its head that probably let it see or hear. It wore what looked like military armor covered in sharp metal pieces. The tall blue alien stepped forward. I am Prime Minister Thrextal of the Valerian Republic, it said in that strange accent. This is General Vexmore of the Kroon Military Alliance. We welcome you to Galactic Council Station 1. Kang Ho bowed slightly. I am Ambassador Kang Ho, of Earth. These are my colleagues Captain Nari, Dr. Cho Hye-jin and Chief Engineer Park Dong-wook. We are honored to meet you and grateful for this opportunity. Prime Minister Thrextal made a sound that might have been laughter. Earth? Yes, we have heard of your little world. You are quite far from the civilized part of the galaxy. They walked through corridors that were much larger than needed for humans. The walls showed moving pictures of different alien worlds. Some worlds had purple skies and floating cities. Others had red oceans and crystal mountains. The galaxy was full of wonders. They entered a large meeting room. The ceiling was so high that Kang Ho could barely see it. Around a huge table sat dozens of different aliens. Some looked like giant insects. Others looked like walking plants. A few looked almost human, but with strange skin colors or extra body parts. Please sit, said Prime Minister Thrextal. The chairs were too big for humans, but they managed. Now then, said the Prime Minister, let us discuss your world's entry into the Galactic Council. First, we need the exact location of your home system. Kang Ho had expected this question. We would be happy to share that information as part of a formal trade agreement. What can the Council offer Earth in return? General Vexmore made a sound like rocks grinding together. You misunderstand, human. This is not a negotiation. All worlds in this part of the galaxy must register with the Council. It is the law. Whose law? Asked Captain Nari. The room became very quiet. Many aliens turned to stare at the humans. Some looked surprised. Others looked angry. The law of the Galactic Council, said Prime Minister Thrextal slowly. The law that has kept peace in this galaxy for 300 years. Dr. Cho Hye-jin leaned forward. We respect your laws, but Earth has its own government. We would prefer to join the Council as equals, not as subjects. More grinding sounds came from General Vexmore. Equals? You barely have space travel. Your world has no real technology. You fight wars with chemical explosives and metal bullets. You are primitive mammals who only just learned to leave your own planet. Kang Ho felt his face get hot, but he kept his voice calm. We may be new to space, but we are not primitive. We would like to prove that humans can contribute to galactic civilization. Prime Minister Thrextal waved one of his 4 hands. Perhaps in a few thousand years when your species has evolved beyond its current state. For now, Earth will be placed under Council protection. You will provide us with your world's location and resources. In return, we will ensure your planet is not destroyed by the various dangers of space. And if we refuse? Asked Captain Nari. The general stood up. He was much bigger than he looked while sitting. Then your world will face standard pacification protocols. What does that mean? Exactly, asked Kang Ho. Orbital bombardment of your major population centers until your government agrees to cooperate, said the general. His voice showed no emotion, like he was talking about the weather. The room stayed quiet for a long moment. Kang Ho looked at his team. Captain Nari's hand was resting near her sidearm, even though it would be useless here. Dr. Cho Hye-jin was recording everything with a hidden device. Chief Engineer Park Dong-wook was studying the alien technology around them. How long do we have to decide? Asked Kang Ho. 1 solar cycle, said Prime Minister Thrextal. 1 of your years. That should be enough time for your leaders to see reason. Kang Ho stood up slowly. He still had his diplomatic smile. Thank you for clarifying your position. We will need to discuss this with our people on Earth. Of course, said the Prime Minister. Take all the time you need. The decision is really very simple. As they walked back to their ship, Dr. Cho Hye-jin whispered, They think we're going to surrender. Let them think that, said Captain Nari quietly. It will be their mistake. Back on the New Sol, they prepared to leave the station. The aliens were very polite and helpful. They gave the humans star charts and information about safe travel routes. They even offered to escort the human ship part of the way home. No, thank you, said Captain Nari. "We can find our own way." As they flew away from the station, Kang Ho looked at the message he was preparing to send to Earth. It would take weeks to reach home, but every word mattered. "People of Earth," he wrote. "We have made contact with alien civilizations. They have given us 1 year to surrender our planet, or they will attack our cities and kill millions of people. The countdown starts now." He paused and looked out at the stars again. They still looked different, but now he knew why. They were no longer just lights in the sky. They were suns that warmed worlds full of beings who thought humans were weak and stupid. "Recommendation," he continued typing. "Prepare for war." Chief Engineer Park Dong-wook was already studying the alien technology they had secretly scanned during their visit. Dr. Cho Hee-jin was analyzing the aliens' body language and speech patterns for weaknesses. Captain Nari was planning the fastest route home. The aliens thought they had given Earth an ultimatum. Instead, they had given humanity something much more dangerous. They had given humans a deadline, a clear enemy, and a reason to show the galaxy what humans could do when they were threatened. 1 year to get ready. It would have to be enough.